the time is now 5:44. We're gonna ask Madam Clerk if she would call the meeting to, give us the roll call, please.
Board Member Bass.
I'm here.
Board Member Dominguez.
Here.
Board Member Williams.
Here.
Vice Chair Davis.
Here.
Chair Russell.
Here. We're
And for the
gonna,
record, Board Member Taylor will not be joining us this evening. Attendance confirmed.
thank you. We're gonna stand for invocation and for the Pledge of Allegiance. And, Board Member Dominguez, if you would give us an invocation, please, and then we'll pledge.
I don't even want to get some of this. Because I'm
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
sure.
Board Member, Bass.
Almighty God, as we come before you this afternoon, Father God, we just give you thanks, we give you praise. Lord God, we just bow our heads in humbleness unto you, Lord God, and for your power, Lord God. Give us wisdom this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kind of sound like I just did this at our last meeting to ask for a moment of silence for a mass killing. And here we are again today, asking for a moment of silence for the children, innocent little children that got shot down for no apparent reason that they did anything wrong. So for those families that are going through what they're going through today, and that school and that community, and all of us that have children and grandchildren that go to schools, and just hug your family and tell somebody you love them. Because in these United States of America, if it's one thing we need, it's to love one another.
Yes.
It's to show forth the love that we talk about
Yes.
to one another. So that being said, let's have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. I told a friend of mine, I said, you know, I really don't want to cry no more about little children and people being shot down and killed for no reason at all. It's, it can be very disheartening. So I know that we have in the school system, we have access to mental health professionals, but even in our community, sometimes we need to have those resources available for people to take advantage of. That being said, we're going to move right into our meeting this afternoon. We're going to open up our meeting for public comments. Public comments are now open. Good evening.
Good afternoon, good evening, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners, staff, and members. My name is Dottie Johnson. I reside at 13724 Northwest 22nd Place. I was trying to find out what is the listing of the Senate that will be utilized for this $300,000. I didn't see any copies out here. I went online, I didn't see any copies. So if anyone can just give me a short version. I did have a chance briefly to look at your last meeting. I am totally in support of Palmetto Homes. Matter of fact, Oreo I bought out here in 2009. We weren't able to get anything through because of the environment at that time. But I know the quality of work that he does and he have done in Liberty City. But I know when you had the workshop, the unveiling of the master plan at that time, if the chair remember, I brought up what are some of the incentives? What can the partnership look like when you're bringing it to the city? Because I think when I did a little tally along with some other stakeholders, there are a lot of businesses that are closing down. And I know the chairperson can remember Front Porch when we had the micro loan. It's something similar, but there are so many needs that are needed. Homes are needed, but I do need someone to answer, and I'm so appreciative of your meeting because normally you guys answer, you don't save it to the end and nobody give me a reply. But I'm a little confused about the incentive. If you have chosen a provider, how was it chosen? Did you have public workshops for, and I know you normally do, and we're trying to work on the trust with the public, but I do need a summary if possible for those questions. And again, where can I find it? Where is a hard copy for the general public? And I wait for your answer. Thank you.
Public forum is still open.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, Madam President, Madam Attorney, and everybody, each and every one in your respective places. I'm so elated and so excited about the project that Mr. Lundy has built, and I continue to talk to everybody about it and tell them to please go by and look. I was there this weekend because I still have family over there and friends, and I told them when they get the chance and if they saw Mr. Lundy over there to let them take a peek. I also told them to get your credit in order, increase your credit score so that you may be one of the recipients will be able to move in these affordable housing because you still need a good credit score. And I was thinking, because for years, the mayors and commissions have talked about renaming the infamous triangle. And that's what we did, talked about it. Madam Mayor, you spoke on it last meeting, I was too. And it rattled me and it touched me because I'm so happy about this project. It makes me feel so good being born in the triangle. And as you know, I came back here, reared my children here. Anyway, I came up with a name. I want to entertain you and I hope this makes you smile. And I am a Northwestern graduate, by the way. Hey, okay. I came up with the name instead of triangle, and just for you to explore, pyramid.
What is it?
What is a pyramid? Opa-locka is based on the what? Arabic, Egyptian style, right?
Mhm.
And that area is the triangle, and a pyramid is based off of what? Triangle, right? And what, okay, and who were the pyramids? And I'm looking under Google. I Googled it. Who were the pyramids built for and why? Pyramids, and it's Google, pyramids were built for religious purposes. The Egyptians were one of the first civilizations to believe in an afterlife. They believed that the second self called the Ka, I guess I'm saying it right, lived within every human being. Okay, pyramid, okay, what does the pyramid symbolize? Pyramids represent the riches and power of the pharaohs and Egypt in general, as well as pharaoh tombs. But anyway, this just gave such great, usage for what we're coming to and changing of the name. And I just wanted to throw it out there and toy with it. And I just wanted to bring that to you. And I thought and hope that and I see it does bring a smile to your face. So we do pay attention. We are listening. We do want to help. And you know what? I see you smiling too, Commissioner Bass. And I hope each and every one of you too, Commissioner Davis. And I hope you like the name of it. So Bernadette, work on it. Oh, one other thing. My grandson, come here, Jonathan, right quick. While I was there this weekend and I was talking to friends and family, and I told them, get your credit scores in order, be ready, because we finna move some stuff. Y'all are not gonna stay here in this depressed area and be depressed people. We coming up out of there, and we coming up now. Go look at them houses on Washington. And while I was talking to my cousin, she dropped her phone and she said to her grandson, boy, pick up that phone for me. I was like, we changing we changing this. I didn't tell nobody else about pyramids since the first I used it. My fiance didn't even know, and he lived with me. I ain't told him nothing. And he sleep with me. He ain't heard nothing about pyramids till just now, because I was saving it. So she cursed at her grandson. I said, put that phone back down. I said, this is what you're going to say to him, because we're changing this era. We are changing. You're going to change because the atmosphere, the presentation, the new affordable, rich looking houses gonna cause us to be rich folk over here. We're gonna act like rich folk. We're gonna have some etiquette. If we have to get some etiquette classes or whatever, we're gonna move this thing like it need to be moved. So I told her, this is what you say to your grandson. Jonathan, pick up grandma's phone for her, please.
That's right.
Thank you.
Right. That's right.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Citizens Forum is still open. I gotta get grandma's walker.
You know, I'm so used to running.
Citizens Forum is now closed.
You know what? I'm sorry. Mr. Lundy, it's your birthday. I think it's Mr. Lundy's birthday.
It is?
Is it your birthday today?
Yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Madam,
Okay, now we're going to, go ahead, Madam Clerk.
thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to state for the record that Board Member Taylor has joined us. Thank you.
Okay, we see him down there. We're gonna move to, our resolution and, Ms. Johnson, we heard your concern, and Mr. Gay is going to give us a little synopsis of what it is. And then I think because this was a special meeting, we might not have had an opportunity to put a full copy of this out to the audience, but he's going to give a synopsis and then it's available for everyone. Mr. Gay.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good evening to everyone. As was
Madam
stated,
Chair, before we start, would you like me to read the resolution into the record?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Madam Attorney. Read the resolution first. We can discuss.
A resolution of the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Agency Board authorizing development assistance to Palmetto Homes of Miami, Inc. in the amount of $300,000 for the development of new properties within Magnolia North area of the CRA, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
thank you, Madam Attorney. Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Gregory Gay. As was stated at the last meeting, we wanted to basically make sure that all the documentation was in its proper place for this particular item. And I wanted to just kind of quickly read one of the objectives that comes from the Opa-locka Community Redevelopment Plan that was created in 2009 and adopted in 2011, 2012. And under Objective 4, it speaks to vacant lot infill development. And as a part of the CRA redevelopment plans blueprint, it speaks on and it references the establishment of a program for developers incentives in the Magnolia North redevelopment, may require additional incentives to encourage developers to participate in such a way it may include financial assistance for professional services or construction costs. We looked at that particular point within the redevelopment plan, and it was because of that particular point being in the plan, we wanted to move forward in establishing this development incentive assistance program. We went through and looked all through the internet, looked at what other community redevelopment agencies were doing in the South Florida area and some that are not within the South Florida area. The main piece to this was that we wanted to have an agreement to be associated with the legislation adopting a resolution. And we were able to locate one in a city not too far away, Cape Coral, Florida, which had language that was very similar to what we wish to achieve as a part of this particular agreement with this particular development. Now, we came to the allocation of $300,000 for this particular project based on the initiatives for creating jobs and to assist in the cost for development for the units that Mr. Lundy is looking to develop. We actually have within our budget for this year, $500,000 to assist in development assistance. So we felt that it was proper based on the information that Mr. Lundy provided us, speaking in reference to his project. And actually there is fairly detailed information and plans that speaks to the projects that he is looking to develop. Now, the CRA is not in a position to fund these projects at 100%, but we can do something to help make these projects take place and move forward. Now, his group did receive the land from Miami-Dade County. There were some supportive dollars from the county that was part of this particular project. But as we all know, the cost of building residential homes and really the cost to build anything in South Florida has gone up significantly. It's gone up to the point where Miami-Dade County has adjusted their income standards and sales points in order to keep pace with the cost of construction. Since the CRA was created to remove slum and blight and to promote development for new projects as well as the rehabilitation of some existing projects, we felt that it was important that this particular project gets some support for the redevelopment. When it's all said and done, Mr. Lundy is probably going to have somewhere between 15 to 20 units of new housing within the Magnolia North area, an area that has been challenged in more ways than I can count for decades. He's already proven that with the product that he's already put in place, utilizing some of his own funding to get those projects, to get that housing put in place. And while the housing may seem to be a unique and special type of housing for Opa-locka, other communities have been putting this type of housing in place for the last 6 to 8 years. So we're kind of playing catch up here, but we feel that it's a product, and especially if for someone who's going to be a first-time home buyer, it's going to be a product that's going to be very well suited to, one, increasing the density of the community and producing a product that someone can be very proud of. And it's really going to have an impact on turning the Magnolia North area around. So within your packet, you have the resolution, you have a copy of the agreement, you have the notice of intent from Palmetto Homes, And you have a series of documentations that will tell you how he came about becoming the owner of these particular properties for development. These properties are an initiative of Miami-Dade County's infill housing program. These properties actually went out through a bid process twice, once in 2015 and again in 2017. And prior to that, the properties were given to Habitat for Humanities. And for some reason, Habitat decided to go in a different direction and gave the properties back to Miami-Dade County. So we are at the juncture where we can actually, as a CRA, put some money into some projects and produce some housing that is definitely well needed within the Magnolia North area and within the city of Opa-locka. So if you had an opportunity to peruse through this information, if you have any questions concerning the information that's been provided in the packet, and I know that it's a lot of information, I can tell you that over half of it is basically county information, just to let you know how Palmetto Homes came about in receiving the properties. It includes the deeds as well as the RFA, which they participated in, and the standards that relates to the infill housing program. If you have any questions or concerns, I'll address them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Gay. Any questions, concerns from the board members?
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I happened to go by the location and saw the houses, beautiful houses. They look like they didn't belong here, but it was beautiful. I myself said, oh my God, I would love one of those homes. Gorgeous. It's a lot of information. We just got the package and I'm not sure if what I'm gonna ask is in here, but maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know if somebody can answer it. I noticed that the interest rate is, I read this part here, the interest rate is 0% and the terms,
Excuse me, board member.
the terms of the loans.
If you could speak closer into the mic so
Okay.
everyone can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I noticed that the interest rate, it's 0%. The terms of repayment, the loan will be forgiven in 5 years after the completion of the date. Now, my question is there collateral if the loan is defaulted? Maybe it's in the package. I couldn't, I mean, it's a lot of
Yes.
information. So I don't know if there's anything in here that can answer that question. but-
Madam Chair,
Yes,
if you all would like, I can go through the contract, which may answer some of those questions if you'd like. And I can go through the pages of it if that, or I can just answer your question.
okay.
Yeah, you could show me the page. I would appreciate
Okay.
it.
Yes,
Okay.
because we only have, there's a commission meeting tonight as well. But I know you probably know where that we could go and find the information. And I think that would help Board Member Dominguez out.
Right. So if this, I saw a couple of other board members shaking their head. Yes. So if you all want me to, I can try to quickly go through it. The meeting is at 7.
Okay,
so-
yeah, is that the will of the board? Would you all like for the attorney to go through? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, all right. So this agreement, and Mr. Gray did a really great job explaining over the overall aspects. So let me dive a little bit deeper into the agreement itself. First of all, the city is seeking to create a business investment program. And so this is sort of serving as the groundwork for that program, in that this is something that you all can look at for an overall program that where other developers come to the city and they look to do businesses in this way. Now, the whereas clauses outline, of course, what is going to happen, the amount, $300,000 and so forth. And then when you get into the definitions, there are certain definitions of parties that are pertinent to this agreement, and one of them being Miami-Dade County. The area is dealing with Magnolia North, and that is the only area that is being funded for this particular program. The commencement date is going to be the notice to proceed to commence is going to be the commencement date, and the completion date has to do with the Miami-Dade County completion date for the requirements of the deed restrictions for the donated lots. So Mr. Gabe mentioned earlier that Miami-Dade County has donated some scattered lot sites, and they're going to be used for infill housing. Now, within those deeds, it basically allows for the contractor to complete within, or provides that the contractor shall complete within 2 years from the date of the deed, at the time that the deed was turned over. However, there is some flexibility within that where it can be extended based on in the county's discretion. And so what we're doing with the completion date is we're going to follow along the same lines that the county is going with. And so when this developer, there can be no, reason to believe that this developer won't use the monies for this project because it's in line with what Miami-Dade County is requiring. In terms of the construction period that's still dealt with, there will be a construction schedule that the developer will work along with staff to create. There is an exhibit for it in the documentation. The developer will be required to give the name of the architect. Right now, the plans that have been created are conceptual plans, but we're requiring as a part of this agreement that the real plans be included and that they be updated as soon as they are available. There are other requirements dealing with the loan closing date. This is a forgivable loan as set forth in 2.26. And so what Commissioner Dominguez was alluding to earlier is the fact that this is a loan, but it will turn into, it's almost like a grant really. But if he, being the developer, does everything that he's supposed to do and maintains the property and control of the property and it's maintained properly for a period of 5 years, then it becomes forgiven. And so at that point, the developer, it is his free and clear. We do have one of the exhibits being a mortgage that the developer will allow us to be in second place on. Miami-Dade County will be first. So there is a little bit of a mortgage where we could come back and get our money if it's not done within the proper time. 2.29, which has to do with the project. These are the properties. One of the things that I mentioned to Mr. Gay is once we have more information, we may want to look at updating this section, because one of the things, I think one of them is it allows for one thing or the other. Like for instance, it's 2 units at the 2060 address, but when you look at the 2061 address, it provides for a duplex, twin homes, or 20-unit apartments. So, that gives the developer some flexibility, but once the plans are in and once it is updated, you may consider making that more specific. So again, there will be a project schedule. Going down to the findings, there'll be, certain findings that this developer has agreed to comply with. The developer qualifies for financial assistance under the agency's program. So some due diligence will be done or has been done to ensure that the financial wherewithal is there. The project site we talked about earlier, and I'm scrolling down. The developer will be required to get permits for this and do it in accordance with the building code and the land development code. The agency also, the agency being the CRA has also committed, of course, to $300,000 at a 0 interest rate, because the idea is you want to, that's the incenting that you're doing to incentivize this this deal to be done. You don't want to charge interest on that as long as the 5-year period, the completion is done within that period. The developer will and has shown that he has sufficient sources of funding to cover its share of the project. We know that Miami-Dade County has already given some property toward this. We believe that the developer, according to conversations that the CRA has had with the developer, he has also been qualified for certain loans to make sure that the completion is is done. And in addition to that, the developer has agreed as a part of these conditions that he's not going to be in default for anything. So he's not going to, do anything that will cause this project to be in default. The project construction has to do with the, one of the things that the city will be able to do is to have reasonable inspection of the project site, to be able to go on and, during reasonable times and see what's going on. The disbursements, in terms of how that's done, there is going to be an exhibit for how the disbursements are done. And this, Mr. Gay will meet with the developer and align this with the Miami-Dade County timeline in terms of how the city in its discretion can give toward hard costs. So there is an exhibit that outlines many of the things that are considered to be hard costs. So if you looked at Exhibit E in the documentation at the end, you'll see some of the things that are described as hard costs. And so those are the things that the city is committing to pay for. Also, there will be invoicing that will be done at the certain touch points that the city in its discretion and the CRA in this point determines to be meaningful for the construction to go forward. Also, the funds requested to be dispersed shouldn't be for any other purpose other than to complete this project, nothing else. The developer's contribution basically is ensuring that the funds are obligated to fund this project. And the final advance can't be done until 10 days of the completion of the improvements being funded with the agency funds. And so there are things that the city can do in terms of holding up the final funds to make sure that the certificates of the architect are in good order, to make sure that there's final affidavits in a form approved by the agency, to ensure that there is satisfactory completion and adherence to all the laws that need to be adhered to concerning building code, certificates of occupancy. The developer does have to maintain the property in good repair during the time of this, and hopefully after, but during the time of this loan period. And I'm sure he'll do that. Also, the developer is not permitted to suffer waste or impairment of the project except as due to the construction activity. So there shouldn't be any other kind of waste on that property other than construction waste. Also, post-completion maintenance and repair. So at its own expense and subject to reasonable construction conditions and activity, the project and project site is to be kept again in good order. The developer is required to have insurance. And there are the insurance requirements in Article 11 that you can read. These are pretty standard. I think Mr. Gay mentioned that Cape Coral was used. Parts of that contract was used to formulate this, but the bulk of this contract is the City of Fort Lauderdale's CRA contract. And they had a really good model that we could use, but we did take the best parts of the Cape Coral agreement and incorporate them to the extent that we thought there were things that may not have been represented. We also would like to let you all know that we really streamlined this contract to make it very easy to meet the requirements, because we also know that Miami-Dade County has very stringent requirements that the developer already has to adhere to. So we wanted to make it easy. So there were some parts of the City of Fort Lauderdale's exhibits and things that we didn't include because we wanted to make sure that this could move quickly and that the city wasn't going to be doing anything that will hold up the funding based on its overlay with the Miami-Dade County initiatives. The covenants are pretty standard. The representations and warranties outlined in Article 13 are standard, as well as the default and termination. There is a cure period. So if there's something that happens that the city finds that this is not proper, it does provide for a cure period of 60 days. And the developer wouldn't just be, thrown out to dry, so to speak. Also, There is a force majeure provision where if there's a hurricane or, something, a force of nature type of provision, this would allow the developer to not be forced to perform under those circumstances. There is an indemnification clause, which is standard. And this is basically, this allows for the developer to ensure that he is, indemnifying the city for any problems that may occur. Also, there are some miscellaneous provisions for notice purposes. Mr. Lundy is the developer, agency is the agency for the city. We did not put a executive director yet, but it's whoever that executive director is right now would be Mr. Gay, would be the person for notice. The rest of these clauses are standard severability, applicable law is Florida. This is not an offer or constitute an offer for sale or lease or anything. This is straight, incentive program that is outlined here. The submission to jurisdiction would be Miami-Dade County, Florida. And Mr. Gay has something he'd like to say.
Yes, just to, if there aren't any other points that you need to cover as far as the agreement.
Before, Board Member Dominguez, were your questions answered? Well, one thing that I think that one of your questions was collateral. The lots that that has been deeded to him from Miami-Dade County, help me if I'm wrong, because I went through all of this with the attorney and Mr. Gay and to walk myself through it. So I'll make sure that I understand, because two of my main points was that how the money was going to be distributed. And then if the contractor did not complete the work, what would happen? Because Miami-Dade County has a lot more invested than we would have. We only have $300,000 invested. Miami-Dade County has way more than that. Not only do they have those lots invested, but they also have loans that they are going to be giving towards the project. So that was my concern, that we don't just give the money out. And there's a timeline that according to Miami-Dade County, whenever you have a contract with them, you have to follow that timeline. So if he does not follow that timeline, and we're working with him on the same timeline that Miami-Dade County is, we're not reinventing anything. So whatever he has to follow for Miami-Dade County, we're requiring that same thing be followed for us as well, to make sure that the monies that we're giving, this is our first project, and we want it in this manner, first project in this manner. And we wanted to make sure that we are putting a good first foot forward. Another thing that I was impressed by is that these lots were deeded to Palmetto Homes by Commissioner Barbara Jordan. Normally when another commissioner come in, they don't have to follow through with what the former commissioner did. But when Vice Chair Gilbert came in, the fact that he continued on the same track that Commissioner Jordan was with giving Palmetto Homes those lots, that impressed me, because that doesn't happen all the time. So that's one of the things that impressed me. And then when you see the product that he has done over there in that area, those were some of the things. And I had the same concerns that you had, and the attorney, and going through, because I know it's a lot of paperwork, but the majority, the first part is our contract, but the majority of this is his contract with Miami-Dade County and the documents that he had to submit to them in order to get as far as he have with the project that he's trying to do. So I hope that kind of answers your questions.
Thank you.
And just as a follow-up, he did complete our application process for this incentive funding. So that is included within your packet. The way that he was selected is really more or less on a first come, first served basis based on need. The developers who have properties that have expressed their interest and it has to be within the CRA, we basically have conversations with them to see what type of funding could be supported for their particular project. As a benchmark, we're looking to fund these particular projects probably at 15 to 20% of the actual cost of the development itself. So as I said at the very beginning, we're not funding it at 100%, but we are bringing about 15% of an investment into this particular project.
I think I saw Board Member Bass.
Yes, just a quick question.
Can you speak up
quick,
to the
just-
mic, please?
Sure, just a quick question. I believe the attorney mentioned it, but just to make sure that I got it correctly, the money is gonna be given in increments, correct?
Yes,
Based on where he's at, as it relates to Miami-Dade also.
It would be based on the work schedule that will be presented, and it will be done on an incremental basis.
Okay, and my other question is the time frame we're looking at, you said it's 2 years? Which is 5 to complete to completion, but I thought I heard something about 2 years.
Through the chair. Yes, Commissioner Bass, it would be 2 years, although I know nothing has started yet. So I'm thinking that more than likely, since Miami-Dade County does have as a part of the restrictions that it also has discretion to extend, it will likely be extended.
Okay.
And the 2 years is reflected within the deed on the properties.
Okay, just one more and I'm done. How many lots are we talking about? I think Exhibit A said 7. We're talking about 7 different properties?
Yes, there's 5 lots that's associated with one property. And then you have 3 other properties. Now, not all of these properties are going to be developed with the $300,000.
course.
This is the allocation that he's
Yeah.
seeking
Mhm.
for his first run through, for lack of a better phrase, for these particular developments. So as it stands right now, there 2 to 3 lots will probably be addressed in this budget year for this particular allocation. And then the next budget year, he will come back and we'll repeat the same process.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Taylor.
Through the chair to Mr. Gay, you talked about, this was a first come, first serve basis. So my question is, going forward, is there more monies in this budget for other developers for this grant?
For this particular grant, we allocated $500,000.
So we have $200,000.
So if, with this being utilized, there will be 200,000 left
All right, and
for,
then,
to be allocated within this budget year.
within this budget.
Now,
So-
the next budget year, you get your new TIF allocations and everything. And as we've seen, the TIF grows exponentially pretty much every year. So next year, we probably looking to allocate a higher amount towards development assistance.
So my next question is, have we advertised that we still have grant monies left for developers, the 200,000?
We have not advertised as of yet, as we're, coming to a close for this particular fiscal year, but we will be having a development forum, which will be upcoming toward the end of July, end of June, excuse me.
This
So
money
we
will
could be
roll over.
announcing it
Okay.
for developers to have an opportunity to apply within the next fiscal year.
Okay,
And also, Board Member Taylor, the budget is normally put on the website. And in the budget, it has that program on the budget, but
I just want to make sure that.
yeah, that
everyone
we're
is made
putting it
aware.
out too,
Okay.
yes. But if they look at the budget, they'll see that we have dollars within the budget. But like you said, advertising it to the community,
And is it too late for this particular year?
no,
It's
No.
not too late.
no,
So
because
is there a
this year,
Oh, I'm sorry. Madam Chair.
this year doesn't end until September 30th.
September 30th, yes.
Okay, so going back, is it any way possible that we can advertise that, hey, CRA has grant monies for developers who need assistance? Is that something that we can do before September 30?
Yes, that is something we can do, and
So
we
we can
plan to
let them
do
know
that.
that
Yes.
we are open for business.
Yes.
Signage like,
Big
Big
signage.
sign.
I think I saw, Vice Chair. Okay,
No, I really didn't have any questions. Just really around the expenditures, but you pretty much answered that, Mr. Gay. So, thank you.
Madam Chair,
yes, ma'am.
yes, I don't have a question, just more so a comment. I will expound on this during commission meeting during my report. However, last week, attending Mayor Daniela Levine Cava's mayor's roundtable on the housing crisis, I was able to present these the Palmetto homes and the construction that we're doing, and which I can tell you the county is applauding us for. Just for 32 mayors to come together to have a discussion on a crisis. When you use the word crisis, that's pretty alarming, that's what we're in right now. We know the Herald has written plenty articles on affordable housing, low income housing, just, for low to middle income residents. So this is a crisis that's all over. So not only do I applaud Mr. Lundy and everyone that is working through this crisis that we're living in, but just so that we know as a board, this was something that I was able to present on, one of the things that we're doing here in our city to eradicate this housing shortage and the increase in housing prices. I did want to share a story. Today in the hallway, a teacher stopped me looking very just upset. And I asked her, what's wrong? And she said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My rent is going up by $1,000. And my car is broken. And in the midst of her talking to me, she begins to cry. And she says, I don't know what me and my kids are gonna do. This is a teacher that is giving back to her community, working every day to educate our children, and she cannot afford to live $1,000 rent increase. So this is something that's happening, and interesting enough, I did in my conversation that we had with Mayor Cava, is I constantly want to fight for her and fight for those that are out here working and doing the right thing every day that need housing. So I wanted to just make a note of that. And again, I'll go through later my notes, but today that alarmed me. So I am so on board with ensuring that we help those that are going to help others in our community so that they can live, survive, and feed their children. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Board Member, Chair Russell.
Thank you to all the board members in the comments. Today, when I was on my way to my office, I saw a county car parked on the side of the road, and I stopped because I knew the person that was that was there, and he said to me that he was over to see the homes that were built in that area over there of Magnolia North. And he said that they were so impressed about what Opa-locka was doing over in that area that they're gonna bring out Mr., what's his name?
Michael Liu.
Michael Liu, that's over that department, to see the progress that is being made in Opa-locka. So we have some great things that we can say, some great things are going on in our city that the county is very proud of. So with that being said, if all of our questions have been answered,
I have one question.
Yes.
Madam Chair. I heard Mr. Gay allude to the AMI limits. Obviously, the county has set new limits for price points for workforce housing and their AMI scale. Can you elaborate as to what the thresholds are now, Mr. Gay, if you have access to that information? Because with hearing Madam Mayor's comments about affordability, and obviously looking at the county's transition from developing more affordable, from the conversation basically starting with affordable housing and developing more, to now see it has shifted to housing affordability and the actual price points in which houses are being sold in our communities.
Board Member Davis, I don't have that exact information in front of me, but I have been paying attention to actions that the county has been taking for the last 2 years. And one of the things that they did do, I believe it was in spring of last year, was that they increased the amount of that a house could be eligible for their home ownership program. And it actually went from like around 205,000 for those properties to be eligible for home ownership to actually 325,000. So that was a significant increase based on the fact that contractors were coming to the county and other municipalities saying, we can't build a property and then be able to sell it with our costs. And basically we would be just doing the labor for free and they would pay for the property. So, and there wasn't enough subsidy being put in place. That's where we as the CRA are coming into play to help with that subsidy portion to bring down the costs of the construction itself.
Thank you for that, Mr. Gay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
If nothing else, we'll call for the vote, please.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
you need a motion and a second on this.
I thought we didn't.
No, we did.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Read the resolution.
Move it. Second.
Second by all.
Moved by Vice Chair Davis, second by Board Member Taylor. Roll call, please.
Board Member Bass,
Absolutely, yes.
Board Member Dominguez,
Yes.
Board Member Taylor,
Yes.
Board Member Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis,
Yes.
Chair Russell,
Yes.
item passed.
Thank you, board members. I think that we're going to show forth a great step of faith by doing this in our community. And I think we're going to get some good results out of it. Okay, next item.
We are pretty much complete with the agenda. We'd
Okay.
like to make some announcements.
Yes,
Our next board meeting will be on June 14th. So please put that onto your schedule that our next CRA board meeting will be on June 14th. And we have several items that we'll be presenting before you at that particular meeting. We're also going to be presenting a developers forum that will be conducted in conjunction. Right now, I'm in discussion with a few different groups that will be a part of this developers forum. And we're actually going to be having a meeting next week to formalize that involvement. The target date that we're looking at for right now is June 29th, which is the last Wednesday of June.
For the form?
June 29th for the forum. So please put that into your calendars as well. And that's it for my announcements.
I'll say to encourage our board members that you all also wear the hat of mayor and commission, and in your goings and you meet developers, you can let them know that in our CRA area, we do have some incentives for developers to come and develop it in our community. So make sure you put that out when you're talking for them to come. And then when Mr. Gay get the date together for the developers forum, make sure that they are invited. Mr. Gay has their information so that they can be invited. There being nothing. Okay, one more announcement. Also, Mr. Gay will be bringing it before us at our next board meeting, but we're looking at having a Juneteenth event, karaoke event on the 19th here. We're still working through the, Mr. Gay is short-staffed, so.
We're working through the logistics of
We're
it.
working through the logistics, so he'll be getting back with you as board members. And I know that you probably have missed having your monthly meetings about the CRA, but catch Mr. Gay and make sure that he's giving you an update as to what's going on. That's all, nothing else. Motion to adjourn.
Move it.
Move it by Board Member Dominguez,
Second.
second by